Welcome back to Class with Cole at CWM University, and today we will be learning about 3 different methods to multiply. That's traditional, expanded form, and lattice. If your students are struggling with multi-digit multiplication, it may not be the math, it may be the method. So let's take a look at these 3 methods and see if we can help transform your students' learning. Before jumping into the methods, you want to explain to the students what multiplication is. Now, explain to the student what multiplication is. It should just be an overview, but you want to talk about how multiplication represents groups of things. So if I have 3 groups of 2 apples, I have 6 apples. Multiplication also represents the area that something can cover, so length times width. And multiplication is repeated addition. 3 times 6 is equivalent to 6 plus 6 plus 6. 3 times 6 is 18, and 6 plus 6 plus 6 is 18. And then you also want to do an overview of place value to make sure the students understand which is the ones, the tens, and the hundreds. These 3 different methods may take us on different paths to get the answer, but we're going to end up at the same destination. Hopefully, learning these 3 different methods will help your students better understand multiplication and expand their thinking when thinking about ways to multiply. So we're going to take the same problem and we're going to multiply it 3 different ways. I will make my students learn 3 different ways to multiply. And maybe the first week, every time you do multiplication, you have to show me 3 different ways. So instead of giving them 10 different problems to do, I may give them 3, and then they have to work it out 3 different times. In the next week, I will have them do 2 different ways. Give you 5 problems, and each problem you do 2 different ways. And then by the next week, they'll know which way is their best way, which one they like the most, the one I will allow them to use. And of course, if your students have accommodations, please make the appropriate accommodations for them. So you will have the students work the first problem out 3 different ways. And once they're done, you're going to have them turn to a partner and ask them to discuss what patterns they see between the 3 different methods of multiplying. The first one we do 2 by 1. All right, first problem is going to be 35 times 7. We're going to do the traditional method first. We're going to multiply our ones. So we're going to do 7 times 5, which is 35. Put down your 5, carry your 3 above the tens place. And then I'm going to do 7 times 3, which is 21 plus 3. And 21 plus 3 is going to be 24. So I'm going to write that down. So my answer is 245. The product is 245. And then we're going to go to the expanded. We have to expand 35 to 30 plus 5. And we're going to multiply that by 7. So first we're going to do 7 times 5 and write 35 in that first box to the right. And then after that, we're going to multiply 7 times 30. So you can do 7 times 3, which is 21, and then drop down that 0. And then we'll take the numbers that we have in the 2 boxes and we're going to add them together. Now you want to make sure that your students are lining up their place values correctly when they're adding their numbers, because if not, they're going to get the wrong product, or the wrong sum. So now we're going to do 210 plus 35, and then we're going to add our ones. 5 plus 0 is 5. We're going to add our tens place, which is 3 plus 1, which is 4. And then we're going to add the hundreds place, which is 2 plus nothing, which is 2. So that gives me a sum of 245. Then we're going to move over to lattice. Now lattice, I have the 2 boxes already. I need to draw lines from each corner to corner all the way out the box. And then from the next corner to the next corner all the way out the box. Now with lattice, we're going to talk about it being like the numbers are coming as a party. We have 35 times 7. If I ever get the line correct. There we go. So now we're going to do 7 times 5, which is 35. And in lattice, a number goes in each side of the diagonal box. So for 35, we're going to put 3, and then under we're going to put 5. Now the 7 has to dance with the 3. So we already did 7 times 5. The 5 goes home, and the 7 is going to dance with the 3. 7 times 3 is 21. And then after that, everybody on the outside is tired, so they're going home, and they're going to leave everybody on the inside left in the party. So now I want to use a highlighter, and I want to highlight my diagonal columns in different colors. This helps the students keep the numbers straight when they're getting ready to add it. So each column, I'm going to highlight it in a different color. And then I will go back and add each column together. So my ones, I have 5. So the only thing I have in the blue highlighted is the 5. So I'm going to write 5 down and outside the box. So now it's leaving the party. And then 3 and 1 got together and they made 4. We're adding these numbers together. And then 2 is going to be 2. So now I have all these numbers outside the box. I'm going to circle them. Now that I'm done with the 3 methods, I want to go back and check my answers. For traditional, for the answer, I got 245, so I'm going to put a check by that. For the expand, I have 245, and for lattice, 245. So therefore, I can conclude that 35 times 7 is 245. Someone will do 2 by 2. Start with our traditional method and do 5 times 3 is 15. Put down a 5, carry a 1 to your tens place, and then 5 times 2 is 10, plus 1 is 11. And then I'm going to cross out I'm going to put down a 0 for my placeholder because I use the ones, and cross out the ones that I use. And now I'm going to move on to doing the tens after I cross out the one I carried. So then we're going to move over to our tens and do 4 times 3, which is 12. Put down your 2. And then we're going to do 4 times 2 is 8 plus 1, which gives me 9. Now that my numbers are lined up correctly in their right place value, I'm going to add the numbers up to get the sum. So 5 plus 0 is 5. And in my tens place, I have 2 plus 1, which is 3. And then in my hundreds place, I have 9 plus 1, which will give me 10. Then I'm going to start at the ones place and count. 1, 2, 3, comma. So I have 1,035. Next, for my expanded form, we're going to do 23, which is 20 plus 3, times 45, which is 40 plus 5. And we'll start with the 40 and the 3. 4 times 3 is 12. And we're going to add that 0 from the 40. And then we're going to do 40 times 20. So 4 times 2 is 8. And I have 2 zeros. I have a 0 and 20, and I have a 0 and 40. So I'm going to put 2 zeros behind the 8, which gives me 800. And some of the students will see that pattern and notice that when they're multiplying. And then I'm going to cross out the 40 because I'm done with the 40 and move on to 5. 5 times 3 is 15. And then I'm also going to multiply 5 times 20, which is 100. Or 5 times 2 is 10. And then I add the extra 0 from the 20. And once I've done all of that, I want to tell the students to make sure they cross out everybody that they have used already on the outside so they won't get confused which numbers they need to add up. And they're going to add all the numbers that we wrote inside the box. And to make sure that they line them up correctly so the place values are aligned, so when I get the sum will be correct. So 5 plus all the zeros and the ones is 5. In my tens, I have a 2 and a 1 I need to add, which gives me 3. And in my hundreds, I have 8 plus 1, which is 10. And I start the ones place. I'm going to count 1, 2, 3, comma, to put my comma in the right place. Now for lattice, we have 23 times 45. I have my boxes. I'm going to draw a diagonal line from corner to corner to corner. And the next one, I'm going to do corner to corner. And I like to tell my students with lattice, it's like going to the party. First 4 dances with the 3. So 4 times 3 is 12. And then the 4 has to dance with the 2 because it must dance with everybody before it leaves. So 4 times 2 is going to be 8. I have to put 0 first. 0 is going to be my placeholder. And then 8 in a ones place. And then 4 is going to go home because it danced with everybody. Now 5 comes next to the party. 5 first dances with the 3, which gives it 15. 5 times 3 is 15. And then it wants to dance with the 2 before it goes home. 5 times 2 is 10. You put down a 1 and 0. Now everybody outside that's dancing, they go home. And we're going to worry about the people that made it inside of the party. So I give the students different color highlighters and I let them highlight each column so they'll know when to add, because we're about to add these columns together. And so we're going to highlight all of our columns. And then we're going to go back and start at the column in orange, which is technically our ones place. So 5 plus nothing else is going to be 5. And then we're going to add our tens place, which is yellow. 2 plus 1 plus 0 is 3. Then we're going to add our hundreds column, which is 8 plus 1 is 10. 0, carry the 1 to the thousands column. And then 1 plus 0 is going to be 1. And I'm going to circle all the outside numbers because that's going to be my sum or my answer. And then I'm going to go back and check my answers. And then all of them equal to 1,035. So 25 times 45 is 1,035. And I check my answer 3 times. And then for the third one, we'll do a 3 by 2. So now we're going to multiply in the traditional way, 365 times 92. I'm going to start first with my ones. I'm going to do 2 times 5, which is 10. Put down my ones and carry my 10s to the next column over. And then I'm going to do 2 times 6 plus the one I carried. So 12 plus 1 is 13. Put down my 3, carry my 1. And then we're going to do 2 times 3, which is 6 plus the one I carried, which gives me 7. Now what you're going to see me doing is crossing out some things I don't need anymore so I won't be confused. And I suggest that you tell your students this. Cross out the numbers you used already so you won't be confused and use them again. Now I want to put it down my placeholder because I already used the 1. So my next row, I'm going to put a 0 for the 1. So it's going to hold that place while I go to the 10. So 9 times 5 is 45. But I'm going to put my 5 down, carry the 4 above the 6. And then we're going to do 9 times 6, which is 54, plus the 4 that I'm carrying. That gives me 58. So I'm going to put the 8 down. And then I'm going to carry that 5 from the 58 above the 3. And then we're going to do 9 times 3 and add that 5. 9 times 3 is 27, plus that 5 gives me 32. And I'm making sure that I line my numbers up correctly based on their place value. Now we're going to add. But before I start adding, I want to go back and cross out those numbers I carried so I won't use them or get confused. And then I'm going to start at my ones place. I'm going to add the ones, which I have in the ones column, 0, 2 zeros. So 0 plus 0 is going to give me 0. Then I'm going to move over to the tens. 5 plus 3 is 8. And then I'm going to move to the hundreds. 8 plus 7 is 15. Put down the 5, carry the 1. Now in the thousands, I have 2 plus 1, which is 3. And in 10,000s, I'm going to have 3 plus nothing, which is 3. I start at the back, and I'm going to start counting from the ones place. 1, 2, 3, comma. That's 33,580. Now we're going to move on to the expanded. I had to expand 365 to 300 plus 60 plus 5. And I'm going to multiply that by 90 plus 2. So 90 plus 5 is 45. Or 9 plus 5 is 45. And then I'm going to add that 0 in from the 90. And then I'm going to multiply 90 times 60. I do 9 times 6, which is 54. And then 60 has 1 0. The 90 has 1 0. So I add those 2 zeros behind the 54. And then we're going to do 9 times 3, which is 27. And 300 has 2 zeros. 90 has 1 0. So I can add all 3 of those zeros down and end up with 27,000. Then I'm going to go down to I'm going to cross out the 90 because I'm done using the 90. So I know not to use that again. And then I'm going to move down to the 2. We're going to do first 2 times 5, which is 10. And then I'm going to do 2 times 6, which is 12, add a 0. And then we're going to do 2 times 300, or I could just double 300 and know that it's 600. Anytime you multiply by 2, you tell the students that is doubling the number to help them with their math sense. Now, I've used all the numbers on the outside. I want to cross them all out, so I won't use them again or get confused when I start adding. So I'm going to cross all those numbers out. And then once I get them all crossed out, I'm going to take the numbers that are inside the box and I'm going to add them all up together. I want to make sure that they're all lined up correctly in their place value so I'll get the right sum. And this is a way too you can give the students some grid paper to make sure that their numbers are lined up correctly. And all the ones place, I have a whole bunch of zeros. So I'm going to add all that. That's the 0. Then in my tens place, I have a 5, a 2, and a 1 I need to add, which gives me 8. Then I'm going to add all my numbers in the hundreds, which is going to be 15. 5, carry the 1. Then I'm going to add 7 plus 5 is 12, plus 1 is 13. I'm going to put the 3 down, carry the 1, and then do 2 plus 1, which is 3. Then we can't forget about the comma. Start the back, 1, 2, 3, comma. Now for lattice, usually I'll get the students these boxes already drawn out until they get used to drawing them out. But we're going to start out from corner to corner, drawing our diagonal lines all the way through the box. Corner to corner to corner, take it all the way out the box. Then we're going to start at our other corner. There we go. And corner to corner to corner, all the way out the box. And then corner to corner. Now, 9 came to the party first, and it has to dance with the 5 because that's the first person it sees. So 9 times 5 is 45 with the 4 on one side of the diagonal and then 5 under it. Now that the 9 and the 5 are done, the 9 is going to dance with the 6. 9 times 6 is 54. And then after dancing with the 6, the 9 is going to go dance with the 3. So 9 times 3 is 27. Now that the 9 is tired, it's danced with 3 people. It's going to go home. So we're going to cross that one out. And after the 9 goes home, who comes in next? Yes, the 2. The 2 is ready to dance with everybody on the outside. 2 times 5 is going to be 10. 1, 0. 2 times 6 is going to be 12. So we're going to put a 1, then a 2. And then 2 times 3, we're going to put it's 6. We put the 0 first as a placeholder, then our 6. Now, everybody on the outside of the party is tired. They never made it inside. They're going home. So we're going to cross them out so we won't get confused with any of them. And once we have all those numbers crossed out, this is when we're going to use our highlighters again. So everybody that's inside the party now, we're going to separate them into a line dance, basically. Put everybody in their row. So we're going to highlight everybody different colors so they make sure they're in the right row when we start this line dance. We highlighted our 1s in pink, our 10s in yellow, our 100s are highlighted in green, our 1000s we're going to use the color blue, and then for our 10,000 we're going to use the color, we're going to use purple. So now we're going to go back and start adding up the columns. So our 1s we have 0, in our 10s we have 5 plus 1 is 6, and then 6 plus 2 is 8. And then our 100s, we have 4 plus 4 is 8. 8 plus 1 is 9. 9 plus 6 is 15. We're going to put our 5, carry the 1 to the blue column. And then we're going to add everything in the blue column. 5 plus 1 is 6. 6 plus 7 is 13. Make sure your students carry that number. It's very important. And then we carry it to the 2 plus 1, which gives me 3. And then we're going to circle the outside. All the outside numbers are now my answers. So I'm going to go back and check for traditional, for expanded, and for lattice to make sure I have the same answer. Therefore, 365 times 92 is 33,580. And then after they get done working it 3 different ways, we will discuss the patterns we see. Now, depending on how long your class period is, you might not be able to get through sets in the same day, but this could be a continuation over multiple days in the class. By the end of that third set, that 3x2, these are some things your students should start noticing. They should notice that the lattice is organizing the partial products in a grid, that the expanded form shows distributive property. The traditional method compresses the expanded form into a faster method. Also, all 3 methods are mathematically equivalent. They give you the same answer. Now, there will be some misconceptions that you need to look out for and that you need to address. One thing is, in the traditional method, students will forget to put that placeholder on the second row. So say if I have a 2x2 that I'm multiplying, and once I do the 1s and I move over to the 10s, the students forget to place that 0. So make sure that you stress that when you're teaching the traditional method, to place the 0 on the second row. Also, sometimes the students will add incorrectly diagonally in the lattice. That's why I use highlighters for each diagonal so the students can keep them lined up and organized and hopefully add the columns correctly. And one of the biggest things that kills students is lining up the numbers correctly when they're adding them. I suggest you have some type of grid paper or line paper, or you can take the notebook paper and turn it vertically and then have the students put a number in each column and then add the numbers up. Because if they're not lined up correctly by their place value, then they're automatically going to get the wrong answer. And you will see this happening with your students. What is your favorite way to teach how to multiply? Did you know about all 3 of these methods? Or is one of them new? Let me know in the comments. My favorite way was lattice. I went from 4th grade to 5th grade, and one of my students, I taught her in 4th grade, and her parents requested for her to be in my 5th grade room. And 5th grade, she was still using lattice. That's the only way she wanted to multiply. And she was one of my high achieving kids. And she understood traditional, but she loved to do lattice. Thank you again for coming to Class with Cole. Thank you for making this far in the video. Please let me know if there's any other methods that you use to teach multiplication. And until next time.